So Communications Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams has published the draft SABC bill for comment. If passed, this bill will replace the Broadcasting Act, which actually regulates the public broadcaster and the role of the minister in that affair. However, the bill has been criticized as failing to move with the times by not taking into account the fast-changing world of broadcasting. For more on this, let's bring in Justine Limpitlaw, an Adjunct Professor at Wits University's Link Center. Justine, always great chatting to you. Thanks very much indeed for making time. Perhaps let's begin with some background for those not following the story close enough. The Broadcasting Act in its current form, why was it problematic?
Well, the Broadcasting Act is a 1999 act. You know, that was really at the beginning of the of widespread use of the internet, and it's very old-fashioned. And the Broadcasting Act also included a whole lot of general issues that didn't involve the SABC. So the aim of the bill is to have it squarely focused only on the SABC.
And what's the benefit behind that? I mean, obviously it's the public broadcaster, taxpayers' money goes into that, but many people, again, watching from a distance, might be asking, why have different rules for different broadcasters?
No, it's not. Well, you have to have different rules for public versus private or commercial broadcasting, so that's absolutely right. It's international best practice to have 3 separate tiers of broadcasting, and public broadcasting, whether television or radio, is a critical standalone sector. So it's not incorrect in that. To have an SABC Act, a standalone SABC Act, is how things are normally done all around the world.
Right. The bill, however, I'm afraid not necessarily...
Yes, the bill, however, exactly.
Not pleasing those who are hoping for a different outcome. Why is it not going far enough? Among the things being said is that it too is not moving with the times.
Well, I mean, if you're very few people, apart from us poor broadcasting lawyers who are steeped in this, probably have an intimate knowledge of the provisions of the original Broadcasting Act 1999 or the bill. But all I want to say is, don't bother. If you've read one, you've read the other. Almost, I would say that 90% of the bill is absolutely word-for-word identical. So
Sure.
It just rips out the provisions in the Broadcasting Act that relate to the SABC and puts them into the SABC bill with 1 or 2 tweaks and changes here and there. And it's funny, I mean, I just want to say that I'm giving a presentation on this later this morning, and the title of my presentation is, "What is the point of it? It's already obsolete." And it's astonishing, I think, that the ministry has done this when they've just released a really good draft white paper on the future of audio and audiovisual services that includes a significant section on the SABC with really interesting novel ideas that does grasp the need to drag the SABC into the internet age, that recognizes the importance of online platforms, and yet the bill is a restatement of things that are already, 2 decades old. It's just astonishing that this has been done. I can't help thinking that the bill in its present form will be withdrawn. I can't see Parliament passing it like this.
For South Africans watching and perhaps missing the point about why we should care what the bill says, what would be your response to that?
So the people that are watching Newsroom Africa are the informational elite. And the vast majority of South Africans rely on the SABC almost exclusively for news and information. It's a critically important public information resource. Anyone who cares about democracy, anyone who cares about public education, public engagement, and an informed citizenry ought to care very much about the SABC. And we need a bill that's fit for purpose. We need a bill that contains proper provisions around funding, proper provisions around structure, that protects the bill from political interference, which, as you know, has been an ongoing battle over the SABC. And we need a bill that recognizes that the trial separation, the attempted separation of the SABC into public and public commercial has been a complete failure. There's never been a proper division of those entities. It's been tried. It didn't work. They've never run separate accounts. There's never been the cross-subsidization that was envisaged. And we need a new vision. And the awful thing is, there is that vision. The vision has been set out by the department in the white paper. Its single best section is on the SABC, and none of those proposals are in the bill. So I think the bill is too early. All it does is just repeat what's in the SABC Act, as I said, with a few tweaks.
Right. Of course, we're spoiled for choice about what to necessarily pick apart, but most people are really, really upset that what the bill does in part is do away with the position of a COO. I'm not quite sure if perhaps you know the thinking behind that, but what are the consequences of not having a chief operations officer at a place like the SABC?
I think it's absolutely unbelievable that they have done that. It's also a crazy, so they want to diminish the number of board representatives because there is a big board at the SABC. So they've reduced the number of non-executive directors, which I think is right. It's in line with the King reports on corporate governance, etc. But then they decided to also take away one of the 3 executive board positions. And my understanding of the role of the COO is that it's absolutely essential to that core management structure of the SABC. No one has been calling for a reduction of the executive directors of the SABC. So I agree with you. I think that's astonishing. Another astonishing example that I don't think is being picked up nearly enough is that the minister has given herself the right to approve or disapprove the CEO's salary. Now, that is just not in keeping with what our High Court has ruled on the fact that she cannot interfere in day-to-day management issues. Executive salaries are set by the board. They are not to be agreed upon by ministers. And I just want to correct myself. It's herself and the Minister of Finance have to agree to the package. And I think that's, the board determines remuneration of executives.
Absolutely. It's not difficult to connect the dots to how that could lead very easily to some kind of political interference. It is
no doubt at all.
Right. It is a draft bill, though. I get the sense that there's just a public comments process currently underway. Your take on whether or not this can still be fixed?
It's a draft bill. I mean, it's been approved by Cabinet, which is unfortunate, but we'll have to see what bill actually, in the end, gets tabled before Parliament. We have seen a number of SABC bills in the past, new legislation designed to fix some of the ongoing problems at the SABC. All of them have been withdrawn or not gone anywhere. So I think that this is an opportunity to use the bill, but honestly, my sense is that the bill needs to be replaced with the forward-thinking of the department that's evidenced in the white paper. So I'm hoping that they take seriously arguments by civil society, which I think are going to put in an alternative bill that takes account of the department's policy proposals in the white paper. And here's hoping they put forward a fit-for-purpose, digital age, public broadcasting and public information bill to Parliament. If they put forward this, Parliament will recognise that it's unconstitutional in a number of respects, and they will also recognise that there's no point in this because it's a cut and paste of existing legislation that everyone has recognised is out of date and out of touch.
An incredibly important conversation. Thanks for helping us make sense of perhaps some of the legal and complex aspects of it. Really appreciate your time. Justine Limpitlaw is an adjunct professor at Wits University's Link Center. Once again, Justine, thanks very much indeed.